So welcome everybody to the Peacekeeping Task Force session, Model Counties Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting. This is Louise Campbell Anthony, the affiliate director here at the Peacekeeping Task Force. Today is Sunday, September 14th, 2025, 5 p.m. This is our first meeting since the passing of our head of state for the American government, James Clinton Belcher. I would like to take one moment silence in his memory. Thank you, everyone. This is the brainchild. The Peacekeeping Task Force is one of the brainchilds of our head of state. So I'm honored to continue his work here with our American Government Resurgence Project. So for those who are new here, we've shifted from the think tank aspect of the project, which was the strategy task force. We switched from that and retired the strategy task force, and now we're in the execution process of actually putting into place all those thoughts we had, all those inspirations we had of how we can go about reconstructing our American government peacefully. So this is our second session of our Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting. So in this session, our primary focus with these sessions is to recruit counties who want to serve as model counties for their union state and spearhead the effort to stand every county assembly government in their union state. Provide an outreach blueprint for the county assemblies to put boots on the ground in their local communities and hold public meetings to present our restored American government to the American public, and reconstruct the missing American towns, which we've discovered through our thinking process that we were missing focus on that third jurisdiction. This coordination among the state and county assembly offices will deliver the logical and intentional consequence of seating the International State Assembly. So we have a lot to do in the reconstruction efforts. And what we're trying to do here with the Peacekeeping Task Force with the American Government Resurgence Project is give it some focus and give it some strategy and to get us all coordinated as we're trying to do this. The first thing I want to open up with on the agenda, the outline here today, is what I've been experiencing here lately is the county assembly process is in question. There's discrepancies that we're trying to resolve right now. And what I mean is there are state assemblies saying that that we're not assembling the counties properly. They say we have to stand the states first before we start assembling the counties. Those types of questions. So that discrepancy is going on over the past, since I started the model counties effort. So what I do is I go back to Anna, our fiduciary, and ask her these questions that I'm getting or these challenges that I'm getting, and then she gives me back an answer, and then I tell the people who's been telling me that what she said, basically. And I just do what she said. So here's an example here. And I put in the chat the email correspondence that this comes from. So here's a discrepancy here. State and county is assembled at the same time per fiduciary. It is not state first standing and seated, then assemble county. It is that our reconstruction came in through the state first, the federation aspect, the state assemblies aspect, not the counties first. Let me break that down a little bit more. So in the email communication back with one of the Alabama assembly, this coordinator said, and this is just a copy and paste from the email, according to the teachings that the coordinators are getting, there's a timestamp here where in the call that the the assembly coordinators, Ohio Assembly coordinator says that we have to stand our states first and then focus on our county. So the Alabama Assembly coordinator was using this as an example to tell me that this is the correct county assembling process. So, and then I got Washington Assembly and Florida Assembly and uh, numerous amount of assemblies says this is not the process. That's not the process that you're doing. The process is we stand our states first. So I had to take it back to Anna, and we go back and forth with communications to try to get a consensus on what exactly the process is. And this was Anna's final response in that back and forth with the Alabama Assembly, even though there was other assemblies that I was communicating with her about, and you'll see that in the email document. So she says here, this whole conversation needs to be rebooted. There is no particular order of organization implied by our situation, except that implied by our starting position. It's perfectly good for people to organize both their state and county assemblies at the same time. When you walk through the door as a state assembly member, you are automatically populating a specific county or parish within that state, okay? That okay makes me think, okay, she tried to tell us, did we get it the first time? Okay, so the Alabama coordinator used this example, an article that Anna had written to tell me that the process was incorrect according to what Anna was teaching the coordinators. She was telling me states supposed to stand first, and this is an example of the article she used to prove her point. So I went to the article and I read the article. The article says about counties. When a man from LaGrange County, Louisiana, joins the Louisiana Assembly, it has two automatic impacts. Louisiana is repopulated and LaGrange County is repopulated, both at the same time. As a result, your local government is being built at the same time as your state government. And your state government has international powers and is competent, that is, has the necessary jurisdictional interfaces and capacities to deal with the federales. So don't worry about organizing all 3,141 counties as separate entities and then try to build the states. Build the states and repopulate the counties at the same time so that you have the means via your state organizations to address federal issues right now, today. So she said at the same time 3 times in 3 paragraphs. So somewhere there is a disconnect in our communications across our assemblies. And I think part of it is due to us not understanding or comprehending or understanding the nuances to the terms that we use when we're assembling. The terms like stand. What does stand actually mean? The terms like fully standing. The term like seatment. The term like populate. I see and hear we use those terms interchangeably, but they have a distinct difference to them in how you choose to use them in different contexts. So that is where I'm thinking the discrepancy is coming from and how we are not perceiving what the fiduciary actually meant when she said stand the state first. But in her instructions and her directions to me, I'm clear she's saying at the same time. So that's what I wanted to convey to everybody here today, to take that message back to your assembly so that we can understand and understand what the correct assembling process is. So there is no conflict, there is no competition. We're all in this thing together. And I'm trying to follow what the process is. And it's okay for you to challenge me and tell me, no, that's not right. That's not what we were trained to do. I want you to tell me that so that I can go back and find out where the discrepancies are so we can get on the same page with coordination, cooperation, and we know that that way we'll get there faster, right? because all this back and forth and fighting is slowing us down. Yes, Richard, I'll take your question.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
It's not so much a question, it's more of a statement, because I've been following along with this the whole time. And yeah, I kept hearing them say, build the states, do it first. But at the same time, hearing them say also, yes, you can stand the state and counties at the same time. My take on it is the problem with trying to stand the counties is you have to make sure that you have enough folks present in the county to fill the positions that you need to fill for your government roles, correct? You have to have enough people actually living in the county and active to populate and fill the roles that are needed to stand or seat the county government. Correct? I yield.
Thank you. I'm going to go to my second point here before I take the next question, because Richard brings up another nuance to this whole conversation. So I'm going to go here before I take the next question. The next point that Anna is trying to convey is there is no seatment or standing process for county assemblies, as there is for state assemblies. And I got that I gave her that question because I was hearing that too. Like, and I didn't understand how do the counties assemble and seat like the states? Because we also hear the counties are supposed to take example from the state of how we're going to run the county governments. But I'm finding that's not quite accurate either. So we got to find out what those differences are in the separate jurisdictions. So I asked her, so this was the question. In the chat, you'll see my session 19 interim report from July 2025. What I do is I have the model counties ask Anna questions on the coordinator training call so that we can get our answers, right? Because this was the understanding. Anna knew and I knew that once I get started organizing, helping the counties to organize the United States, that I would have questions along the way. So this is one way how I try to get questions answered. So I have questions being answered at the coordinator calls. This was one of them. I say this week's, and in the interim report, I'm just reporting back to everybody what the question was and what the answer was. So the question was, is there such a process called standing up your county assembly or seating your county assembly, like there is for the state assemblies, to be recognized as standing and as seated? What I got from what she said, I'm going to play it for you guys, and I want you all to tell me, now, Louise, I don't think you interpreted her correct, or yes, that's a correct interpretation of what she said. So my interpretation of what she said, which I'm going to play for you, your county assembly is standing and seated just by being assembled in general session. There is no process of standing and seated for them because of the jurisdiction they're in. They're the people, so they're standing automatically when they start to assemble. So I'm going to play for you where I got that interpretation from. So here is the coordinator training call. I hope I'm at the right spot.
We have where you say you're standing the state assembly or you're seated the state assembly. Do you have the same thing where you say standing up your county's assembly, or you're seating your county assemblies? I know we're working on those now too, but do we have something similar?
Well, what you're in right now is technically called general session. Okay. And general session means that you've brought your people together, you validated everybody's status, political status, and you're now in a position so you can make decisions about different topics and issues that come up. And if nothing else, you can do that by a roll call vote, which is the traditional way that the general sessions are handled. Now, there's nothing keeping you from establishing a secret ballot too. But when you're in general session, the more usual way of handling business is for you to take a show of hands and count the hands, or to do a roll call vote, go around the room, or whatever Rocky Roper, or yay or nay. And so being in general session is sufficient. You don't have to have your jural assembly set up. You don't have to have these other things all completed yet in order to have standing and be able to speak to issues. So that's just something I generally like to remind people of, that you are empowered right now as you stand.
Right. So, okay. So it's basically, we're pretty much standing anyway, because we're all assembling, and we're all taking votes and doing our normal business.
Right. And because you are the states that are united.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're people of substance living in a world of substance.
Right.
And so just by virtue of being alive and having a heartbeat, you've already crossed the line into the living soil administration, right? And that then also implies that you are competent to function as a lawful person, right?
Right.
So you can function at the state level as a lawful person. You can function at the county level as a living man or woman. It's one of the people with a small p, okay? And in any of those venues, you're finding good. Now, when it comes to maritime and admiralty, we have American maritime, we have American admiralty, and we can meet them in those jurisdictions also, or the jurisdiction of the air. Once we've established our correct political status, we become sovereign not just in land and soil. We become truly sovereign in all jurisdictions when we recoup our birthright status.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So from that clip, this is what I interpreted. Points that Anna, I'm back to the outline, points that Anna makes in this video regarding county assembling process. Now, I put state assembling process in question because this was a county assembling question. I'm not going to assume that she was also talking about the state assembling process. Okay? She said in general session equals standing. A county assembly assembled together is standing. So whenever you hear this word standing, we have to know what she means when she's talking about standing. Because back to that original discrepancy, she says, yes, the states have to be standing first. Well, did she mean in general session, which they are now? They're in general session since 2020, all 50 of them. So is that what she meant by the states have to be standing first? Going on, she says, after you have assembled the people together and you have validated everyone's political status, and both of those go together, now you can make decisions by formal vote, show of hands, roll call vote, or secret ballot. Either way, she mentions all, and this is a question that's come up too. Well, when you take a vote, it has to be a certain way. Well, she said all those three counts. So you have, when we are assembling our counties, we have to verify the political status has been declared in order to have standing as an assembly government. Then she goes on to say, you don't have to have jural assembly, which is a service pillar. Your main pillar is, the main pillar of government is the General Assembly. Everything else are services. So you don't have to have your services standing, which is your jural assembly, and any other things. I interpret that to mean any officer elected, any other things. All she said was assemble. So services, pillars, Don't matter if you have them. Your elected officer for whatever pillar, it doesn't matter if you have them. She said other things set up to be able to have standing to speak to issues and conduct government business. And I put the word government in there because we are a government. I get this feel that we just think we're an organization doing good things, you know. No, we're more than that. We are a government conducting government business in every meeting, general session meeting anyway, in any general session meeting, in any service pillar meeting, we are conducting government business. So we have standing to conduct government business whenever we are assembled, regardless if we have an elected officer, official. She says, fully empowered as a government by being in general session. The living soil administration is government in substance, being quote unquote small letter people. That's why I'm narrowing my interpretation of what she's saying to just county assembly government, soil jurisdiction, flesh and blood. All right. That was my interpretation from what I heard in that coordinator training call to this question. Now I will take your comments and questions. And I think Denise was first, then Andrew. Can't hear you, Denise.
Okay, thank you, Louise. And thank you, Rocky, for using your question time on the coordinator call to get all this great clarity. I really appreciate that. I've been looking in the handbooks, and not that the handbooks are Bibles in any way, and they're guides. I keep going back to this section on the state guidelines and handbooks about electors. So I guess I'm looking for clarity, or as a point of clarity, a state committee or officials on a state essentially should only be elected by the electors, not General Assembly, according to the handbook. And I also have that every voice is heard on the state level. Every county has equal standing on the state level, and that county should be sending up electors to then conduct state business. So now that we have counties assembled and standing up, are we somewhat changing how the state committees were run, which we kind of had like I'll call it a parent-child arrangement for a number of years, that people were misrepresenting their authority and or thought that they were in control of jurisdictions outside the state level. So we have found out that that's not true. So I'm just going back to the electors process, eligibility qualifications for electors. And then now that we know more about counties, is this being resolved by, instead of having state committees do the parent-child thing, using county-based electors to form committees, policy, procedure, have officials, etc. So we may not have the answer to that, but that's a question.
That's an excellent question, because there's, again, nuances to what certain words we're using. We have to know exactly the context and how it's being used. And yes, the handbooks aren't the Bible, and things are changing in the handbooks as we go along too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can't answer that question on if we're reconstructing anything as far as electors, but that does have to be addressed, because I came across the conundrum. Louise has her conundrums when I see, well, one thing says this and the other thing says this. I came across this conundrum about electors when I was sharing with the strategy task force the fact that, hey, we got another layer of government to reconstruct called the town. We have to reconstruct the town. And on the town, I used a visual from my local town government, de facto town government. It's a village government. They had a town meeting, an annual town meeting, and in their instructions on how to run that town meeting, that sheet, their instruction said electors.
I
That the
remember you
electors
showing
have the
that to
ability to
us.
do this. Electors can do this. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, who are electors? And why are they, and the town says this, but the village, the town government is not, that's not the village. So there is a nuance to this word electors, and we need to, as we're reconstructing and assembling our counties, we will get to that question. Now you also mentioned, you brought up the parent-child relationship, which more discrepancies come with that. And I have a whole list here, point C, then I'm gonna get to your question here, Andrew, or your comment. Point C here, more discrepancies needing clarified regarding the assembling process. So these are all the questions that I'm posed to Anna to get clarification. One of them is, and I'm not reading all of them, but I put them here for you guys, so you all know that I'm hearing your concerns and I'm going to get some answers for it. One of the concerns was the parent-child type relationship. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. It's just, that's how it's perceived by people who brought the question to me. And so number 6, do state assemblies have the jurisdictional oversight authority as a land and soil jurisdiction government over how and when the county assemblies are organized and officially recognized as standing? I need that question answered, because counties and state assemblies are having this type of relationship that I really don't think it's supposed to be there, but it's been implemented that way. So we need clarity. And then number 7, is it number 7? No, number 5. Is it required in our government procedures that the county assemblies report back to their state assembly their county assembly's business?
No,
People say, well, the counties are supposed to tell us what they're doing.
no.
I don't know a process of that. So I have to go back and ask the question and get a clarity on how the procedures go, because you're getting these perceptions and understandings from what you've read or what your training was. So somewhere there's a discrepancy in our communication. That's what I bring it down to, the bottom line. Our communication is lacking in clarity and what we're saying to each other. So just imagine if there's an emergency. I'll go back to those emergencies because that's what the PKTF is taking care of, getting the communication through in times of emergency. If our communication is like we're having now, we're going to have a problem getting emergency communication across. So I'm trying to make sure I get clarity on what these things mean and bring it forth to you guys, because I see there's discrepancies in what we're teaching and training. Okay, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think your interpretation is right on. We're in the counties, we're there, we're up and running. We just need to remember to, whenever we try to fill positions, do lawful elections. That should cover that. And I think everybody's getting a little into the weeds with the parent-child thing. This is 2 different jurisdictions.
Yes.
They're taking care of the international stuff. We're taking care of the people. It's pretty simple. So if we just look at it like that, get down and, we'll figure out the towns and the village stuff, but as we go. But I mean, we just got to remember that the state level, the international level, they have their committees. They're doing business for the state. We're down for the people. I yield.
Thank you, Andrew. Rocky?
Okay. What I want to say is these 2 questions that you just brought up, I've asked those to Anna already. I will find those coordinator calls for you. Number 6, where it states about the jurisdiction and the government, how the county assemblies are organized and recognized standing. The state, what Anna told me on this is the counties have the highest jurisdiction over the state, and that the states actually need to talk to the counties. The counties actually have the power of their state, because everything drives down from the counties up. And I'll get that, like I said, I'll get those recordings for you so you can listen to them and we can bring them up here. And the next one that you brought up is number 5. Is it required that our government procedures that the county assemblies report back to states? And I just kind of really answered that one too, is no, we don't. The counties have their own business and they do their own business. And only time she said that the states get involved is like when we have some kind of like a disaster or something that needs to happen. The counties would then get together and with the state so that people like the PKTF and the marshals and all that, we can pull them together to fix those problems, right? So again, the county is the one that pulls that together, not really the state. The state actually is the one that has the jurisdiction to talk to the marshals and the PKTF to actually get the things done. But it's normally what she says is it comes from the county to organize that and to, push it off to get it done, right? So from what you're asking on these ones here, I believe what Anna's saying is, the counties, like she told me, the counties are the highest jurisdiction in the state. So each county, but again, the counties can't go from county to county or state to state, right? We're only in our county. So we only have the highest jurisdiction of what happens in our county is in our county. So like I'm in Clark County, I can't do anything in Nye County because I don't have jurisdiction, right? So it's basically each county. So if the disaster or something happened in Clark County, I can then as a coordinator or, get the state running to get PKTF and stuff involved. If it goes between Clark County and Nye, then I got to get Nye County involved and get the state involved because now it's a state issue involved. You understand? So that's what I got out of it. And like I said, I'll get those recordings to you, Louise, so that you could listen to them and get your ideal out of it too. I yield.
Thank you, Rocky. Now, yeah, so, and I've heard the people say, well, why Rocky asking all them questions and taking up all that time? Because we need some answers, that's why. No, because I have Rocky asking the questions so that we could get, clarity on these things. And I try to ask the questions in a straightforward way so we can get the answer to the question. I know how Anna likes to explain a lot of things, and we need the answer to the question. So I try to phrase the question so we can actually get that answer in all of her explaining. I'm gonna go to Tammy and then Andrew.
Okay. These are really great conversations and I think really great questions. And I think that working together as a team and having Rocky ask questions on the coordinator training call, since he is training to be a county coordinator, I don't see an issue, why that would be an issue. But and I love being able to hear Anna's answers. In regards to the county assemblies reporting to the state, I think that we're looking at different scenarios here because we're talking about a scenario of when a county is organized and functioning fully, right? That they have their own business that they're attending to. They don't have to report it to the state. That makes sense. But right now we're in an assembling process. And we want to make sure, because I'm not quite sure who the oversight is of the counties, right? There has to be, just like we have coordinators on the state, that's the liaison to the federation, there needs to be some kind of liaison position, and if it's the county coordinator, then who do those county coordinators report to and what kind of oversight is taking place? Because here's my concern. My concern is that you have somebody that may not have good intentions and they're a little bit ill-guided and they live in a county and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with this state assembly stuff. These guys aren't hearing me. They don't want to hear what I have to contribute. I really want to put my attention on fighting traffic tickets and they keep shutting me down because they have their own agenda. So I'm going to start my own county assembly and I'm going to do my own thing and we're going to focus on fighting traffic tickets. And then these yahoos get together and they start picketing in front of the police station, and they start saying that they're the lawful government. And then they start saying that, I've got a neighbor that I think is MK Ultra and murdered his family. And I'm using this as an example because this happened on my state. They didn't try organizing their county assembly, but this was the kind of behavior that we had with an individual who clearly didn't have all their marbles, with them. And these are the kinds of things that I think people are really concerned with when you're leaving a county on their own to assemble. And so, and I know that that's kind of the process that we're going through on our state, that we just, we raise our hand, we volunteer, there's vetting involved, and we're kind of figuring things out as we go along. But I think that there has to be, and I think that that's probably what we're all doing here, is trying to figure out a process, put a process together for how these counties are to assemble, what kind of positions they have, and there has to be, some kind of a how to build a county assembly handbook, right? But I am concerned that, because for me, again, on my state, I serve as the chairman. And if we indeed had county assemblies, which I would be in favor, if people said, hey, I want to start my county assembly, I'd be in favor for that. And I'd be supportive of that. And I'd want to hear the progress that they're making. It's not that I have to hear it and that I'm going to slap them on the wrist and, but we're here to help each other and to be collaborative and work in unison together while we're assembling. And then years down the road, when we've got our shit together and we figured it out and things are working properly, then I think it's, whatever you're doing on your county is really your business. And the only thing that you come to the state for is if you have a state issue, if there's like two counties, like what Rocky just said, something that's happening that involves two counties and it has to be dealt with on a state level. And I think that those are some of the concerns with the state assemblies. And I really am disappointed with some of the states and how they're dealing with the people, the lowercase p people that want to assemble their counties. And you're right, they don't have the authority to tell you, no, you can't assemble. So there has to be this different shift in mindset, that there's not some kind of authority figure that gets to tell you what to do, but we're here to help each other and make sure that we're staying within the guardrails. And that's just my 2 cents. I yield.
Thank you, Tammy. So before I go to the next hand, I want to touch on 2 points that Tammy brought up. And part of what I want to touch on is in number 7. How is one county assembly recognized as the government over another county assembly formed without the other one knowing? What authority does the Federation have over soil government validation? I brought this, and it's in relationship to what Tammy was saying. So for a county assembly to organize itself, I thought we had county coordinators, which I still think we have county coordinators, which would be the ones who should be attending those coordinator training calls and getting the questions answered like Rocky's doing. And that county coordinator would be the oversight for the assembling of the counties. Now that's how I thought it's supposed to be going. I haven't verified if I'm missing anything, but that's how I've been understanding or understanding this process of what coordinators are for. Coordinators are to are that liaison with the Federation to make sure we're doing it right. The problem we're having with the county assemblies are the Federation has determined, and if you want the verification on that, the Federation has determined that the Federation is not capable of vetting county coordinators because there's too many. So now, how do we recognize that that's the official county assembly government if the Federation is not vetting the liaison, the oversight person to validate that that's the county government? We haven't got the process down yet, but it looks like the county is going to be vetting themselves. that's what it's looked like right now, based on what the information I'm getting back and forth from Anna. And the other reason why I asked that question is because Anna has already said that people can declare their status different types of ways other than in the LRO.
Right.
So while we're out there doing our outreach, if we find a group assembled that's properly declared, how do we recognize them as the official government when we already have one over here? How does that process go? Do we combine? You know, what does that look like? So that's another reason why I asked that question of how to recognize the official county government and what does the federation play in validating that that's the actual one. So I'm gonna go to Andrew, and then I'm gonna go to Rocky. Do you still have a comment? Because you after Andrew, if you do, and then Denise.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer some of her questions, but I'll wait for after Andrew.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I just wanted to respond to something that Rocky was talking about earlier. You know, for the counties, and especially for a county sheriff, you know, if there's an emergency in your county, you know, the county sheriff is going to make that determination to ask the state for help. You know, that'll be where they bring in the militia. But we all know that Anna wants this canton system, you know. So in Ohio right now, you know, we have cantons set up. They're sections. We split the state up into 9 different cantons. And within each one of those cantons, there's about 10 counties. So in an emergency in one of those cantons, it's all that jurisdiction stuff's out the window. It's just everybody come to help, you know. And if it's way out of control, that you can still call in your militia or whatever. But yeah, that's how that was going.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Rocky?
Okay.
Was it? I'm sorry, it might have been Denise.
Okay. I asked the questions about coordinators and stuff with Anna and whatever, and both the county and the state coordinators are federation jobs. They are controlled or okayed by Anna. And through what Tammy was saying, that I've been okayed as both the state and county coordinator. So I am both. Normally we don't do that, but I am a co-coordinator because I'm help training Michelle. Michelle is our core coordinator for the county, Clark County. Okay. And we have, you know, several other counties have coordinators in them now too. Okay. So the deal is there's still a federation thing and their oversight, and you're supposed to be in the coordinator calls because you are a coordinator and you're supposed to be helping organize the system. You know, as far as like what she talked about oversight, your counties have an oversight committee too. Anytime you have any committees, you have to have some kind of oversight to oversee basically what the county or the committees are doing that you have created in your assembly, right? So you got to have some kind of oversight to that to make sure they're doing what the assembly wants that committee to do when they, you know, established it, right? So it's basically your county is just a subset of your state. It's just that we don't have international business, you know, assembly pillar. You know, we only have 2 of the pillars, and then the state has the other 2 pillars, and that's the militia and international business. Those are state. And then the other 2 is your General Assembly you have in a county. You still have your General, because you have your own courts and everything, which is under General Assembly. And then you have your General Assembly for your counties, which is the same as the state has their General Assembly, right? Which is where you establish, is what Anna was talking about, how when they're assembled, then you're standing. That is your county assembly, General Assembly, that is standing when you come together, do your business, right? So these are the things I've been getting at Anna. I've been asking a lot of questions. You know, thanks Luis for giving me some really good ones, because we really need them. Because we need to actually work together. You know, like you're saying, is like when you fill somebody in a county, you're filling the state too, and we need to work county and state together. And just like what Andrew said, is when I talked about, you know, like having a disaster or whatever, really your sheriff is your highest law enforcement and peacekeeper in your counties. And they're the ones that work with the, you know, the militia and the PKTF and that to get disaster stuff and all that fixed, or anything else that happens. They're the highest peacekeeping task force to help keep your counties together, right? So that they have a lot of functions to do, and we have to, still build on that. There's still a lot of more questions that we need from Anna to solve. A lot of the hierarchy and the way that the county should be running, even though in Clark, we do have all the people we need. We have our coroner, we have our sheriff, we have most of our General Assembly. We have a lot of people that are doing all that stuff, but not all counties. And we're trying to also, with this model county, build those other counties too, to be like Clark, so that everybody in their counties can do the same thing. Anyway, I yield. I just wanted to clarify some stuff.
Thank you, Rocky. Now, before I move on to Denise and Annette, I'm going to touch on something Rocky had brought up about how the county sheriff is the primary officer official in a county. He's the first responder, or she's the first responder. Now, what I saw missing what I saw missing in the plan, if there was a plan before the American Government Resurgence Project, was the PKTF role was to coordinate emergency response. But I didn't see any chain of custody or chain of communication down to the person right there on the soil of where the emergency is happening. And people was telling me, PKTF ain't supposed to be in the counties. PKTF ain't supposed to be, y'all supposed to be over there talking to the de facto. Well, our role is to coordinate these emergencies. And if we're gonna help coordinate emergencies, we have to have a chain of connection, communication to a county. And that county has to have some type of assembly or officer or something. So that missing piece is what made me start thinking about the PKTF's function and how, working on the county assemblies is our job. How else are we going to get emergencies taken care of if we're called upon, or even how are we even going to know about them? Emergency is emergency. So your response time has to be as fast as you can make it. If we don't have any chain of connection or communication to someone on the soil, then that's slowing down the response time for the emergency. So I'm going to take Denise and then Annette.
Louise, go ahead to Annette. I'll ask it later.
Okay, Annette.
Thank you. And thank you for what you just said, because that's like exactly kind of what I'm hitting on. So I've been attending the militia prep meetings as well. And myself and quite a few other counties are dealing with that exact issue. So we all want to be able to communicate with each other. We're now setting up our own meeting space that we're going to start to meet with all the other counties to help get them organized, because they're just saying they're not getting support. And then where other question is how do we contact the other counties? And because we are not getting the cooperation to share email or contact information.
Right.
So we don't have any way to find out who we can excite to be a county coordinator. How do we find out even who, or if there's anyone on the counties, and how do we get them inspired to step up and do this? Because most of them so far seem to be very bewildered. They're feeling abandoned. And so that is our predicament as a model county. We're excited. We want to get out there, and it appears that the only way we're going to be able to do that is literally by accident. That we're going to find, while doing the postcard thing, we're going to find other ASNs on other counties. At this point, it seems to have been word of mouth. And so for us, it's very disheartening, because I wanted to bring to you, all 67 counties as fast as I could. And we are at about an 11 at the meetings. For the coordinator meetings, where the max we're seeing is 8. So we're really just saying, how, if your state is uncooperative, how do you get to even find out who is an ASN on these counties?
Good question. So I don't think.
May I?
May I?
It's Tammy.
Okay, Tammy.
So as a recording secretary, all the recording secretaries on your state have access to tell you who the people, if you are a coordinator on your county, then your state assembly should be giving you the list. See, this is where the collaboration with the state and the counties need to come in. So, and I know you have me speaking on number 2, but, that's kind of where we're at right now and what we're doing. As far as the communication, like everybody has, if we don't have a county coordinator, we don't have any counties up and running yet, but we do have obviously members on the counties. And so what we're doing to contact all the ASNs on each of our counties that we're going to, be touring in, is we're reaching out to them. And so if you are already an established county assembly, I would formally request a list for your county. I think they have to give that to you.
Okay, that would be great. I don't know if I'm speaking out. I see Angie is on, but at this point in time, when we had our recorder try to look into that, they were threatening to take her to the Federation and have her stripped of the recording abilities because she was not allowed to be meddling in other counties. So I guess, when you get these heads butting,
Yeah.
it makes it a very difficult situation.
Mhm.
Not every state wants the PKTF involved, and so we have to
Well,
come to some place that they realize we're all working for the same end.
But here's the thing, I think where we want to make that distinction, right? Is that number one, they can't withhold the list of status corrected Americans on your county. If you are a county coordinator, you have every right to know who is status corrected, and you should get that list. Now, as far as reaching out to the PKTF, again, if I don't know what kind of established process that we're making here and where the jurisdictions lie, and whatever that's a whole nother issue. But if you're a county coordinator and your state isn't giving you the contact list for your county, that's a problem. That should be addressed to Anna.
Yeah,
let,
well, the
let me,
county
let
we
me,
have. Sorry, go ahead, Louise.
Yeah, the Marion
so,
County. Marion
no.
County, you should know everybody on your county.
So I think the question in that was asking, so as a model county, they want to help all the other counties
Yes.
get organized. They don't have a right to the other counties list.
Yes, may I?
Yes.
I understand now. Sorry for the misunderstanding before, but so this is where coming into your state assembly would be beneficial, right? That you would say, hey, we're a model county on Marion and we're assembling and we're figuring this out. We're creating handbooks and whatever it is that you're doing. And we'd love to help other counties who wish to get their county assemblies up. This is why it's so important that we do these reportings on our state assembly, so that you can get in touch with people. That's how you're going to do it. And if somebody's bottlenecking you and preventing you, then that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. So I think that's
sorry, you're so sweet in a beautiful, perfect world. That would be awesome. But
yeah, so there's issues there with the conflict going on. So, and the way the project is set up. So this is my classic answer to conflict. This type of conflict between counties and states. My answer is go do the outreach. I mean, if you can't work with your state assembly, or your state assembly can't work with you, that's a conflict we need to resolve. Yes, we do need to resolve that. But we still have a job to do. So how do I work around that? I just go do the job. So go from county to county, put up your signs, announce your tours, hold a public meeting, and just keep going. And that's how you're going to help populate those counties that you have no access to through your state assembly. That would be my classic answer for that. While at the same time, I hear the conflict that's going on, and I'm gonna handle that one too. But that's a whole nother, you can't, it's just a conflict that needs to be addressed. So that's what my answer is to that, Annette.
Okay, I did reach out and met with our highest PKTF, I won't say names, man on Florida, and he was wonderful. He met us. I bought him lunch. Bunch of us talked to him. He was beautiful and wonderful, very cooperative, wonderful man. He can't control them either, though. So I know you know that. So I'm just going to bow out on that question, but that's what we were going to do. We're just putting out the word everywhere. We're trying to use Telegram and MeWe and all of these other platforms to try to hopefully find accidentally other ASNs that contact us. And we have had a couple, but when we send them that way, they get a big speech about how
Well,
they're not.
we're gonna have to address the conflicts going on in another setting, and Anna does know about them. And
Okay.
I have requested a meeting with her with all the model counties and the state's assemblies those having conflict, because there's a discrepancy in the assembling process. You see these questions right here. Does the county have to do this, and does the state have to do that? These discrepancies is what's fostering that conflict, So I already requested that meeting so that we all can get on the same page, in the same meeting, face to face, and have a discussion and get it right,
Spectacular. I've been trying to kind of give her some breathing room.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a little bit for that meeting, because this just was requested.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your answers, ladies. I greatly appreciate it. And everything that you do for all of us is heartfelt thanks.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just chime in on this too? Just because this, when I hear these kinds of things, my wheels start spinning and how to resolve this. Because I think that the biggest issue that we're facing with all of this is that you have a lot of fear taking place, the fear of the unknown, and possibly people that are used to having some level of control over something, and the fear of things getting out of control, maybe past their ability to control things. I think that, that's an issue that people in general, I think, are faced with just because of all the trauma that we've dealt with in the matrix. But so I think that that's an obstacle that we have to definitely overcome. But I think one of the questions when you do get in that meeting with all parties involved, the states and the county assemblies, is, what is your biggest fear? What are you struggling with, and why you're not in support of this? And I think starting there and and getting to the heart of the matter there, I think is probably going to ease their mind a little bit anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy, for all your insight in those types of things, because she's a coordinator who's experiencing some of the same things. I appreciate you sharing. I'm going to take Denise's question, then we're going to go to number 2 or comment.
I'll wait till the end.
Oh, okay. All right. So go ahead and put your hand down there,
Yeah,
Denise.
sorry.
All right. So I'm glad we had a discussion on this aspect here, and it was all sprung from this email here. Some of the answers are there. And so I already gave you all that for reference point. I like to give you all a reference point of why I come up with what I come up with and why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. So number 2, I want to talk about who's doing the work and what are you doing? So today we're going to have the New Jersey Assembly share with us what their strategic plan is for outreach. We're going to have Tammy on New Jersey.
Okay, and I know we've got Kathy Anglin, Patisa, I think Joanne and Alice are also, they're part of my assembly and on the outreach committee, so they can chime in as well. But what we're planning to do, because we don't have any county assemblies yet assembling, is that we went to the most populated county and we're starting there. And, fortunate for us, our coordinator, one of our coordinators, Alice, on the call tonight, and her son, Phil, both live in Morris County. And so that's the county in which we're going to start. And so I provided them with the contact list. And they reached out. The plan was that we were going to call them first. Then we were going to email them, and then we were going to send them letters in an effort to solicit their help, and also try to get them active and involved in their government. This is our way of outreaching to them. But with that, then the plan is whoever would volunteer to help, we need them to put the notice in a local newspaper. So that would be our public notice. And then, secure a venue. And then, we're going to do canvassing because we don't have the funds to send out postcards. So we're just going to create flyers. And 2 weeks before the event, and then the week before the event, we're just going to go about highly populated areas, whether it's shopping, churches, fairgrounds, whatever the case is. And we're just going to canvass everything in that regard. Invite, we'll have a social media, marketing campaign as well, and send that out. And then we're at the event, we're planning to have a table set up to sell merchandise, to do status corrections, and then we'll be giving a slide presentation. So the people on the county, Phil, will be presenting the state assembly and introducing the officers, whoever can make it that evening. And I will give the presentation, the slide presentation. And then from there, we'll also we're going to offer some refreshments. And really that's it. That is our plan. We have 21 counties on New Jersey. So it's going to be a little bit easier for us to get to all the counties instead of, we don't need to group them all together. We are inviting anybody from the surrounding counties to come. Anybody from any part of the state can come. And in fact, the more the merrier, but we're hoping to get more people from the county to this, public meeting. And then from there, we'll learn, what we need to change, what we need to add, what went well, what didn't go well, and then change things up if we have to for the next location. And then we'll be moving on to the next county that has and that one I think is in, another part of the state, which is good because now we're capturing North and South Jersey. And that's what we were kind of hoping for anyway. So that's our plan of action. And I don't know, ladies on my assembly, if I missed anything, go ahead and say what I missed.
Before the ladies speak, Tammy, can you go through the steps? Like when we were talking one time, you were saying, well, we have to be able to order this, and will we have it by then? And is that do we have that place secured by then? Can you go through those steps?
Yeah. So when we were going through all the things that, what this event would look like and the time frame, because we had to figure out how long it was going to take for us to plan this event, we went through all the steps and then figured out, okay, we need, I think our event is going to be the second week in November, because we want to give the people on the county, the ASNs on the county, till the end of September to let us know if they'd be willing to help with it. And then once we got their, input and, go ahead that they can help, then we'll start delegating responsibilities. And one of the things is, that newspaper, the public notice in the newspaper, we want it to go in the newspaper, we want it to run for at least a couple weeks, and we want it to be about a month before the actual event. So we have to plan that out and make sure that we've got that. And then just securing the event and, the venue that we're going to have this event at. That has to be probably a month before, the event. So a lot of these things are going to take place in October, so that, we have everything ready for the second week in November. But same thing with merchandise, like I have Kathy and Alice is working on getting quotes for different things that we thought we could give out. And then of course, preparing the material that we're going to hand out, the brochures and business cards and things of that such. And again, how we're going to show up, what are we going to look like? How are we going to dress? These are all things that we have to think of because, if I show up in my shorts and my flannel t-shirt that I'm wearing today, I don't know how, it's not very professional. We do want to come across as professional, even though we're not going to wear suits and jackets and that sort of stuff, but we do want to come across as professional and so that people take us seriously. So that's kind of like all the things as far as, and I know 2 weeks before the event, we're going to canvass the areas, and then a week before the event, we're going to canvass. And we talked about and discussed, do we think we need to also do canvassing like the day before? But these are things that we'll learn as we go along. Was a week before enough timing, or do they need another reminder? Will there be emails that'll have to go out? Who's going to send the emails? All the little fine details. What are we going to have when we're there? We're going to have a banner. We're going to have our flag. I'm going to have a flag pole. How like when the de facto holds their press conferences or whatever, they always have their flag in the back. And I know most of us have ours, hanging in the back behind us, but we're going to have it on a pole, standing behind us. And, we'll have a table set up looking professional with all of our material and things of that nature, and people there to answer questions. So there is a timeline that we're trying to follow.
That sounds excellent. Anybody else from New Jersey who wants to chime in with Tammy? We have a question. Jade, you have a question for New Jersey or a comment?
May I?
Yes, Alice, go for it.
You may not hear my voice very well. What we started out with was first calling everyone on our list. Then we're emailing them. And then we're going to send a personal letter to them. So it's 3 ways of following up to get their notice by the end of September. That's one of the things we did. And another thing we want to get is Anna's book that she put out, and have that there for sale at the event. Because sometimes literature is the best way of getting a thought across to some people. And with that, Tammy, I'm going to yield because my voice is gone.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. Yeah, thank you for the reminder on the books. Yeah, so those kinds of things.
Okay. All right, Jade?
Yes, hello. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to speak for just a moment about some of the things that even I have like stumbled upon and discovered as far as, and I kind of want to circle back, and it's not really a question, it's just something to think about for the assemblies to like streamline this process of maybe handling some problems that seemingly like, they seem to just be like throughout the whole 50 states assemblies. There seems to be this like one, problem about that's creating a lot of different conflict and creating a lot of questions and things on Anna's desk and creating a lot of conflicts for the different marshals at arms and the people that are trying to take up leadership. And I had actually stumbled upon and wanted to share just a little blurb to maybe help the state's assemblies going forward is oversight committees. Because I just did a little bit of research. You can do your own research. I'm not going to spoon feed everything, but just opening up, and maybe thinking outside the box for a minute, because I'm going to start implementing this on Washington and bring this concept to the General Assembly. But the benefits of oversight include improved accountability and transparency, enhanced regulatory compliance. Now, I just want to take that word for a second. They say regulatory, we say insert what you say, right? For compliance, compliance to what? The assembly structure and standards and the things the way that it should be going, instead of maybe the trouble and struggles that just don't, that could be probably potentially just mitigated with a little bit of oversight. It also, I did a little bit of research and they were saying that better risk management as well, because there's a lot of risk involved when we're dealing with assemblies and we're dealing with the federales. We've got bigger fish to fry, and it's a big, huge problem. So the sooner we get over some of these little, newbie, like rookie mistakes, the better that I think we'll all be going forward. And I look forward to that. But also increased, an interesting concept of increased stakeholder confidence, because I read somewhere, and you can correct me, Louise, if I'm wrong, that also even the PKTF has stakeholders, if I'm not incorrect. And then they were saying overall the improved organizational performance. Now, I don't know about the other 50 states assembly, but that's something that I want to see on my state. All of those things. And if an oversight committee, and if maybe there's struggles or something going on, that's the whole, if you understand the governmental structure, or maybe even dive in about the governus mentis, if you're not governing your own mind, someone else is going to, in that kind of way. So I think, if you can grab a kind of I like to grab the bull by the ring instead of, getting behind it, I'm getting in front of it and kind of staring it down and saying, all right, I don't want any more problems, because I want what? The ultimate goal is improved reputation on each state. So I'm just saying it as like a whole collective to the 50 states. But what I'm going to do is step up into the position and help the other people, because it's going to take all of this stuff off of Anna's desk so she can have a better time and have an easier life now that she's a widow. It'll help our marshal at arms to be able to ensure that our assemblies are kept safe and not harmed. Because if we don't have these things, we're just harming ourselves and just bashing our faces against a brick wall. And that's not something that I want, because I can envision a future that we don't have all of these things. And now we have a mechanism or a vessel, so to speak, to just get in and drive, kick that baby into first gear and go, because it's eventually it's going to turn, and that wheel is going to turn, and it's just going to take you in the direction that you want to go, because we don't want to be broke down on the side of the road. So I love everybody. This is all just a little bit of research, because this is how my heart thinks. And this is my, my way of loving on all of you and saying, hey, we can do this. And it's really easy if we just follow the structure and have a good understanding and understanding of what that structure is, and just let it automatically do its own thing, because it's really not that hard. It's really not that complicated if you understand the structure. But not everybody's built like that. So just a little food for thought. I hope that helps, and I yield. Thank you.
That's a little taste of Jade. Thank you, Jade. Oversight. She touched on that one. That's one we got to get on. We're not going to get on it right here, but yeah. Oversight is what's necessary in order for us to get our processes here correctly and relate to one another correctly here. But that's going to be touched on too along the way. I'm running out of time, so we got 15 more minutes, because I like to respect people's time and limit it to an hour and a half. So I'm going to highlight here some resources, outreach planning support materials. I put them in the chat already for you. I'm going to highlight them here. We're not going to talk about them right now, but we will be using these things throughout the outreach planning phase we're in right now with the Resurgence Coordination Teams meetings. Boyd and I had some ideas about the planning part, how to plan the outreach so that we can coordinate ourselves to seat the state assembly, organize the county assemblies, and declare the American town. So that's what you'll see in the chat there, the one that's called Resurgence Coordination Teams Planning Guide book. It is a draft, a work in progress. Boyd and I have been working on. And so I'm putting it in your hands right now to start looking over it and see what how you can utilize it. And as you all are planning your outreach strategies here, I put space in there, or I have to, with the replay, I'll send you the doc, the editable doc form. Okay, but you can take a look at that. And where I'm going with this, I'm trying to lay out how you can start thinking about the whole picture of reconstructing the American government. And then when you know you're starting at this point, it will inform you on how to plan your strategy, because you know where you're trying to get to now. This is what I'm trying to do with this Resurgence Coordination Team Outreach Planning Guidebook is what we called it here. One part in here I just want to highlight, I got a new chart for you. This chart right here. You already familiar with the 4 pillars chart, and you already know why I like the 4 pillars chart over the 3 pillars chart, and why I call it International State Assembly Government. And let me make it bigger here. Now, I was sent this how to seat an assembly video presentation by Joe. Alicia Schaefer did to I think it was Pennsylvania. Was it Pennsylvania? I think it was Pennsylvania. It was an excellent video presentation, I thought, and there was a chart there. And this chart that was there helped fix some conundrums I had about how our government structure was. Let me show you the original chart. Okay. This is the actual original chart of what's in the video that Lisa was presenting. And when she showed this chart, I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense, because I knew there was something missing in how our pillars were organized. And I'll give you an example. There was this debate about, is it the militia assembly or is it the Ohio Assembly Militia? Is that what the pillar called? What's the pillar called? Well, this is a conundrum for me. I'm like, well, there is the State Assembly Militia. I know it's called the Ohio Assembly Militia or the State Assembly Militia. She always says it, Assembly Militia, when she says that. But our blueprint has the Militia Assembly pillar. And we're arguing over what this must mean. When this chart came out, I'm like, that's what it is. There's an organizational side and there's an operational side. Oh, okay. Now it solves the problem. So there's a militia assembly that organizes the whole pillar. And then there's the assembly militia that does the work. That's the state enforcement, you know? And so she had it where she developed, you know, she broke down organizational side, operational side. That was excellent. I get it now. But you know, but she said the General Assembly really didn't have or operational side. Well, like I told you all before, if I see something that don't make sense, I'm just gonna change it because it don't make sense. So I changed it, and that's what you see here. I changed it to this because I do see the General Assembly has an operational side, not just an organizational side. And in the video presentation, Lisa had explained that the operational side is the one that does all the work, do the operations. And like for the International Business Assembly, that executive operational 24/7 business, that's your government service providers. They're the ones you pay that works 9 to 5. They don't go out of session. Oh, okay. So that's what all the operational sides do. You pay them to do the work 9 to 5. That's what they do. Well, in the General Assembly, we have committees that do not go out of session. And I think I got the right ones here. I'll double check with Joe, but I think I got the right ones here. That means the operational side of the General Assembly is these subcommittees, and I call them subcommittees for a reason. I'll tell you that in a minute, as opposed to committees. They don't go out of session. When your General Assembly organizational side goes out of session, these 4 pillars, these 4 subcommittees need to stay 9 to 5 doing whatever that work is to keep things going. The sessions committee is like your secretary, letting you know when we're going to come back in session, letting you know what the annual meetings are, making sure everybody has access to the meetings, even though they're out of session. You're going to make sure the public has access to the meetings, and let the public know when they're going to come back into session. That's sessions, general sessions. That's what the sessions committee do. Oversight and ombudsman, that's those problem solvers, because you're always going to have problems, whether you're in session or not, because the state courts are still in session. The militia is still in session. The service providers are still in session. So we might have a problem with them that needs to be reported to the ombudsman or oversight while the general session is out of session. Public safety is the communicator between the emergency response and the PKTF and your county sheriff whenever there's emergency. Emergencies don't care if the general session out of session. Emergencies just happen. These are the 4 subcommittees that stay 24/7 in session operationally, while the General Assembly subcommittee is out of session. That's why I changed it, because I saw that the General Assembly does have an operational side that continues on. And I called it subcommittees because, and then I did put in the chat, I believe, the recommended committee structure, where all the committee names and everything. I don't know if I gave you all that, but I'll give you it with the replay. What Anna, whoever in the Federation created the recommended. Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. Recommended. Yeah, I gave it to you. This recommended sheet of all the structure of the committees. Well, on this sheet, it says the General Assembly Standing Committee of the Whole. And then when it breaks it down, it says Standing Committee of the Whole, then subcommittees. That's why I use the word subcommittees, because the General Assembly is a committee of the whole and it has subcommittees. That's where I got it from. Okay, so this is the chart that I'm using for our Resurgence project, because it makes sense to me. The other thing that I changed in the chart, the other thing I changed in this chart is the living court and the General Assembly. I just called it the state courts. There's more than one court in the international realm. The postal district courts, the state court. The conundrum for me, I don't know what a living court is in the international jurisdiction. I know they call it that, but there's no living people there. So I know state courts are there, so I just use state courts. The living people are in the soil jurisdiction, and I'm still have conundrums about that I'll have to get clarified later. But state courts, I know it's correct, because they're state courts in the international jurisdiction. That was the other thing that I changed. But and then the misspelling, but that's operational. So this is the chart that I think conveys the International State Assembly government structure, according to Lisa's presentation about it. And I was glad to see that there was an organizational side and operational side. Makes more sense to me. Tammy?
Yeah, I think the state courts are for lawful persons, right?
Which are not living people, so.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I yield. Thank you.
All right, so I want to bring your attention to that. And then I have links in here for you to go to for references. The PowerPoint that list, some of this is already in the material that's on the ICE drive. I just cut and paste and put it here. Then this is the section about county assembly government with the 2 pillars. Denise gave me this part here, the county template that I was working with her on. We'll get into more of this here later, because her idea was to make a link tree so that all the counties, when we get started, they can go to this link tree and get started with step-by-step, that type of thing. So that's why this is here. We'll get more into that there later. And then remember this chart. Then the last thing in this guidebook was establishing the missing American towns. Boyd came up with this one. I thought he was good, how he started all this out on how to establish standing and everything. We don't know yet really how to go about establishing the town governments. This is just us to get started, to start thinking about how, that's where we're headed. Where we're started now and where we're headed is, in order for us to finish the job of reconstructing the American government, a declared American town has to be on every piece of soil in America. That's our end goal. So that's what you have there. So we'll develop this more as we go on. And I made it so that your state assembly, your model counties, or the county itself can change it as you go along. I'll send the doc file so that you can change it as you go along and fill it in the way that you want to fill it in and customize it and make it look, have the energy of your assembly and your work. So that's how I made it. Yes, Annette?
Sorry about that. I was just going to mention that I actually had the opportunity to meet with not just one, but two ladies that actually live in Switzerland, and had hours-long meetings with them. And they have given us on Marion such incredible insight on how that actually works on a ground base. And they're willing to come on and talk to us.
Great. Well, good. We'll have to get together on that one, Annette, and get something scheduled.
Okay. Bye.
Now, my timeline for the Resurgence project was 2024 to 2028. That was before I knew about the towns. So we still got a lot of work to do. And that was before it took us 17 months to launch the thing. So for me, we're behind schedule. I wrote out in here the strategic plans that the PKTF is working on now to get that recognition to manifest it, which is the Resurgence project. Then we have the Operation Tenfold Shield that's about to happen so that we can get at least 10 assemblies positioned to seatment. Then we have NCIC and Interpol database connection there that Boyd is connecting us with to get that recognition. So those are the things that we are working on strategically to try to outline and get going. The scope of work that you all know, there was 19,500 American towns. Well, missing American towns. Those are the incorporated cities, villages, and towns who should be American. So while we were talking about the 3,141 counties, we didn't know that there was 19,500 that we're gonna have to focus on. So we want to know from month to month how many states we got seated, how many counties we have assembled, and how many American towns we have declared. That's what we want to think about our end goal is. Keep a status report so that we can keep a pulse on if we're doing what we need to be doing. Okay, back to the outline. Now, Karen has a handbook. I do have it clicked out to on the guidebook. It's listed in there and has a click. Denise has some handbooks and sample forms that she's working on. We'll circle back to all these resources here later. I just want to mention to you all now, we have outreach planning support materials for us to get this thing done, okay? And then the Resurgence project materials is on the ICE drive. There's the link there to the ICE drive to download anything that you need there. And then there, I added, just for your reference, I'm putting this here. I added a playlist for the PKTF because we've been starting to doing interviews. So I created a playlist on their channel so you can go back and see what the PKTF is, how we came to be, and who are the officers there that's working on the PKTF to date, like right now, and our story. So I created that channel for you. And I just want to mention this before we go. I know I said that I'm transitioning from interim report to pulse report. I'm still thinking about it. I stopped the interim reports that I used to send out every in-between sessions because I want to shift to the mindset of what we're doing on the ground and do reporting on that. I don't know exactly how I want to do that yet, but I just wanted to let you know I didn't forget. and it's still in development in my mind right now. So I'm going to take any questions before we sign off here, and any documents that I referred to. You can see attachments. Whenever you see attachments, that means I either gave them to you in the meeting or I'm going to send them to you in the replay as an attachment. I'm going to go ahead and take Rocky's question. We're at 6:32. Or comment.
I don't know if you got my email, but I wanted to bring up something and I want to know if it's okay if I do it.
Okay, I'll respond back to it. I didn't get it, but I'll get it after I get off of here.
I want to bring up in this meeting, I've been texting Anna back and forth, and she wants everybody to do a letter. Let me read the text. I sent it to you so you could read it, but what she wants is, wrong one, hang on here. Okay, I asked her if there's anything we can do. I heard that she was in danger or whatever, and we wanted to make sure that she wasn't. And she said, send letters to and calls to the Alaska Congressional Delegation, the Alaska Governor, President Trump, and the Alaska Judicial Courts, and the Governor of Liaison for Gordon Shillin. And what she wants us to do is basically flood them with letters and whatever that as she says, let them know that the world is watching what they're doing to her. Okay. So this is a call to action for everybody. If you could get your letters built and send them out to these different places. I sent the information to Louise. So if anybody needs anything, you can email her, whatever she can give you those deal. I did ask Anna for actual addresses and stuff so we can contact these people. But we need to let them know that we're watching, and whatever they do to Anna, that we're here. I yield. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll get to that because we're gonna need some addresses, and I'll get the addresses as soon as I can and get them out to everybody. Andrew?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody to get their butts over to Restore the Republic on YouTube and subscribe and share it with everybody, as many people as possible. And Sheriff Bonner has the Reed Shop Talk 44 on Rumble. If anybody's interested. I yield.
I'll put it in the replay notes so everybody can have that. Any other? Okay.
Real quick, Louise, see these stamps, that we use in our daily ASN lives and also for our county and states. So this one's like return to service, no UCC contract. This one's you sign your name. It has the line, all rights reserved, redeemed by USC, etc. Any of these kind of stamps for ASN, county, or state, please show me. You just send a quick picture of it to me, what it is. I'm trying to compile the stamps that our governments will need, and also ASNs personally, and then where they can find these inexpensively so that they don't have to go hunting around, because I know it took me a lot of hours. I yield.
Thank you. Our next meeting is October 12th. In between time, get out there. Let's go rescue some Americans.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Louise.
You all have a good night. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good
All right, bye-bye.
night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Tammy and Louise and everybody
Thank
that
you.
had input. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Worst case
Night.
scenario. Okay. Okay, so then